SPM and SCPM candidates to receive vaccine jabs starting July. EPF launched e-payroll to embrace digitalization. Welcome to News at 10. I'm Brendan Lepore. Malaysians have been called on to keep up their fighting spirit in facing the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the solid cooperation from health frontliners to the general public has helped the country to rise above adversity in the current situation.
Pastinya doa kita ini akan mempertingkatkan lagi dan memperkuatkan semangat juang kita. Jangan kita rasa lemah semangat. Jangan kita berasa mau berundur atau tunduk kepada apa-apa cabaran yang berat yang sedang pun dihadapi oleh negara kita ini.
In his speech during the live telecast of the Mega Selawat PKRC program this morning, Tan Sri Muhyiddin also called the Malaysians to work together in making the National Recovery Plan a success. He added that Malaysians must keep fighting and help those affected by the pandemic. The Mega Selawat PKRC program involved 89 PKRCs all over the country. Health frontliners and patients joined the mass prayer and Selawat recitation virtual session, which was led by Putra Mosque Grand Imam Ustad Iqmal Zaidi Hashim. Cabinet ministers and government heads also took part in the session, which was broadcast on national television as well as on official social media platforms.
The candidates for Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia SPM and Sijil Tinggi Pelajaran Malaysia SCPM 2021 will be vaccinated with the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine starting next month. National COVID-19 Immunisation Programme Coordinating Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said the vaccine shots will be administered at schools that will be used as vaccination centres, PPV.
Because Menteri Pendidikan wants the option, ini belum diputuskan oleh MKN lagi, tetapi he wants the option to send the exam students tingkatan 5 dan tingkatan 6 back to school mungkin pada akhir bulan Julai ataupun bulan Ogos, bergantung kepada kes-kes penularan lah. So if that's going to be the case, saya kena bagi suntikan kepada mereka pada bulan Julai.
Will it be done in the school? Will the schools be
The plans is to use the schools.
to use the school as PPV?
Ya, dia pergi sekolah, dia suntik di sana.
Speaking at a press conference after attending the Pahang Level COVID-19 Immunisation Task Force CITF meeting in Kuantan today, Khairi also said that states with interior areas would be offered the consignor vaccine. He said the single-dose vaccine will make it easier for health workers to vaccinate residents in the interior, as there is no need to enter the areas twice, thus saving time.
Mungkin pertengahan bulan Julai kita akan terima penghantaran pertama dan kita akan agihkan kepada negeri lah. So consignor ni kita akan bagi kepada contoh Sabah, Sarawak, Pahang dan negeri-negeri yang ada kawasan ataupun kawasan kampung yang pedalaman yang susah nak diakses.
In addition, Khairi said Pahang would receive 440,000 doses of vaccine next month compared to 180,000 this month, thus increasing the daily vaccination rate. Almost 91% or 150,934 Home Ministry frontliners had received their COVID-19 vaccination doses. Home Minister Datuk Sri Hamzah Zainuddin said the vaccination exercise includes Royal Malaysia Police PDRM personnel, Immigration Department, Prisons Department, People's Volunteer Corps RELA and Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency MMEA.
Of the total, 133,781 frontliners have completed 2 doses of vaccination under the National COVID-19 Immunisation Programme.
Bagi melindungi petugas barisan hadapan di KDN, saya nak mengumumkan kerana kita nak memastikan ianya boleh dijalankan dengan lebih lancar, maka sudah tentu perasaan anggota kita yang di bawah sana, sama ada pematuhannya, sama ada nak jaga SJR-nya, sama ada nak pergi melawat kilang-kilangnya, itu mesti merasakan bahawa diri mereka juga sudah pun diberikan perlindungan.
He said this in a press conference on compliance to Total Lockdown Standard Operating Procedure (SOP) in Putrajaya today. Dato Sri Hamzah said the ministry has received approval from the Special Committee on COVID-19 Vaccine Supply Access Guarantee (JKJAV) to vaccinate all officers working at the service counters and agencies under the ministry. The vaccination will be carried out in stages following the schedule set by the COVID-19 Immunization Task Force (CITF).
Another vaccination centre, PBV, specifically for persons with disabilities, PWD, will be open in Bangi, Selangor next week. Women, Family and Community Development Minister Datuk Sri Rina Muhammad Harun said the opening of the PBV at Pusat Latihan Perindustrian dan Pemulihan Bangi on 21st June is to speed up the vaccination process for the group.
So ini usaha-usaha yang dijalankan oleh pihak kerajaan. Di samping saya menyeru juga daripada pihak private sector ya untuk bersama-sama untuk membantu kita, sebab kita dah bekerjasama dengan NGO je, ada juga dengan private sector untuk kita membuka lebih banyak lagi PBV khusus untuk OKU.
She said this to reporters at Malaysian Association for the Blind MAB complex PBV in the nation's capital today after inspecting the implementation of vaccinations for the hearing impaired. Yesterday, almost 300 individuals who have hearing loss were vaccinated at the PBV, and another 200 are expected to receive vaccine shots on the second day of the implementation of vaccination for this group. Dato Sri Rina said vaccination applications for those with hearing impairment at the PBV, which started on 4th June, had increased from 1,600 to 2,200 as of today. Another 74 people succumbed to COVID-19, bringing the country's death toll to 4,276. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said 28 of the fatalities were in Selangor. Malaysia also recorded 6,440 new cases and 6,861 recoveries today, being the 12th straight day throughout the lockdown that recoveries outnumbered new cases.
Of the total deaths yesterday, 68 were locals, while the other 6 were foreigners. 6 of the cases have been classified as brought in dead, BID, with 4 of them reported in Labuan Hospital. The Labuan BID cases involve 3 women, aged 58, 78, 79, and a 65-year-old man. The other 2 BID cases were in Hospital Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah in Temelloh, Pahang, and Hospital Serdang in Selangor. All but 1 had no record of comorbidities. Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said the number of patients in intensive care units have dropped slightly from 909 yesterday to 894 today. There are 451 patients who are on ventilator support. Currently, there are 65,602 active cases nationwide, down from 66,097 on the previous day. 23 new clusters were also detected in the past 24 hours.
Welcome back. The Employees Provident Fund EPF has launched e-payroll, an enhancement of the iAccount employer portal, as it leverages on digital technology to facilitate employers' statutory obligations, including EPF contribution.
The Retirement Fund said e-payroll provides a secure and seamless experience for employers, emphasizing on automated calculations of statutory deductions and contributions to regulatory bodies. Speaking at his virtual launch today, EPF Chairman Tan Sri Ahmad Badri Muhammad Zahir said the e-payroll service is designed to assist SME users of iAccount or employers who are not using any payroll solution or do not have the financial means to utilize a payroll solution.
Saya amat menyarankan supaya majikan-majikan mengambil manfaat dan menjamu baik kemudahan e-payroll ini. Tiada sebarang yuran, layanan dikenakan dan akses adalah dibuka kepada pengguna i-akaun majikan. Saya percaya di masa hadapan KWSP akan memperkenalkan lebih banyak penyelesaian digital seperti e-payroll bagi meningkatkan keupayaan pengoperasian KWSP selaras dengan kehendak dan peredaran zaman.
The e-payroll also enables employers to digitally store the records of their employees, including that of salary, and also reduce the time needed to manage activities related to statutory obligations.
Meanwhile, Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said the launching of e-payroll system was in line with the government's National Digital Infrastructure Plan, Jalinan Digital Negara Jendela. Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul added that the system would help steer Malaysia towards greater digital connectivity by boosting the efficiency of the national infrastructure and optimizing spectrum usage.
Dengan kita berganding bahu bersama-sama, pendigitalan ini akan dapat membantu mengurangkan kos perniagaan serta memudahkan operasi. Bagi industri PKS dan para usahawan, penggunaan inisiatif e-payroll akan dapat mengurangkan kos operasi dan mengoptimumkan sumber manusia sedia ada.
The Jendela Action Plan, which is part of the 12 Malaysia Plan 2021 to 2025, would lay the foundation for comprehensive and high-quality broadband coverage, as well as prepare the country for the transition towards 5G technology. The Home Ministry will increase the number of personnel of its Check monitoring team of the Movement Control Order MCO to enhance inspection operations at factories and business premises. According to its Minister, Datuk Seri Hamzah Zainuddin, the ministry also detected employers or factories that had provided inaccurate information when applying for a letter to operate during the MCO. Through the COVID-19 Intelligent Management System CIMS 3.0 under the Ministry of International Trade and Industry MITI. He said offenders could be fined up to 10,000 ringgit under the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Act 1988, Act 342.
Kekuatan Task Force dan Operasi Pematuhan dan Snapcheck COVID-19 seluruh negara. Jumlah tim 4184. Jumlah kekuatan 19,716. Jumlah pemeriksaan 101,692. Ini pada 17 hari bulan. Penugasan operasi pematuhan jumlah tim 3406. Snapcheck 778. Jadi daripada operasi pematuhan dan Snapcheck ini kita akan tukar supaya lebih kepada Snapcheck yang kita lakukan terhadap kilang-kilang.
On the SOP compliance operations, Datuk Seri Hamzah said the police had issued 14,539 compounds and detained 767 individuals for various SOP violations from 1 to 17 June. The police also mounted 132 roadblocks on small roads used by motorists as alternative routes to cross states or districts.
The National Security Council (MKN) received 382 complaints on various violations of the SOPs of the current Movement Control Order (MCO). In a statement today, Senior Minister for Security Cluster Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said that the most number of reports received are of violations of the percentage limit of workers' attendance in employment premises at 98 reports. Between 6 till the 18th June, the MKN had received a total of 382 complaints according to categories that require enforcement action from various ministries or agencies. Of that number, the highest number of complaints recorded is involving violations of the percentage limit of attendance of employees in employment premises, which is 98 complaints, non-essential 77 complaints, and 60 complaints for the category of non-compliance of the general SOPs. Meanwhile, the senior minister said from the 1st to 7th June, the Compliance Operation Task Force had inspected 496 factories, and out of that number, 106 factories were ordered to close. Cumulatively, a total of 24,928 factories and business premises involving 22,819 business premises and 2,109 factories were inspected since 14th January. A 23-year-old man was charged in the Petaling Jaya Magistrates Court today for the possession of 58 pieces of women's clothing. Now, the man, identified as Ong Kok Tai, pleaded not guilty when the charge was read out by an interpreter in Mandarin.
The man, who is a restaurant waiter, was found to possess 58 pieces of women's clothing, including underwear, shorts and bras. The charge sheet read that the man from Kuala Sebatang, Selangor, could not provide a satisfactory description of how the items were obtained. On 15 June, the man was arrested at about 12:15 p.m. at Kondo Ridzuan, Jalan PJS 10/24. Dataran Mentari, Petaling Jaya. He was charged with an offence under Section 29, Subsection 1 of the Minor Offences Act 1955. Now, the case was handled by Deputy Prosecutor Zafira Said Mustafa, while the accused was not represented by a lawyer or surety. Zafira offered bail of 1,000 ringgit to the accused, and the magistrate allowed it. The set date for remention of the case is 9th September.
Front, Israeli aircraft struck Hamas sites. There are more after this. Now, efforts to rejuvenate Malaysia-Egypt bilateral relations and cooperation, especially in the political and economic context, were discussed by Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin and his Egyptian counterpart President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi yesterday. Tan Sri Muhyiddin said the discussion, which was held for the first time via a video conference, also touched on issues of mutual interest, especially in fostering greater cooperation in economy, trade, education, tourism and infrastructure development.
The Premier and President Abdel Fattah also expressed their preparedness to further enhance trade cooperation between Malaysia and Egypt in the future. In this regard, Tan Sri Muhyiddin proposed that both countries sign the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation, which was welcomed by the President. Egypt is Malaysia's largest trading partner in the North African region, with a trade value of 2.06 billion ringgit last year. As one of the largest importers of Malaysian palm oil in Africa, he said the platform was also used to encourage Egypt to not only continue to import the commodity from this country, but also increase imports in the future. In addition, the discussion also touched on regional and international issues, especially the current situation in Palestine. Malaysia also praised the constructive role of Egypt in brokering the ceasefire agreement between Palestine and Israeli occupation forces, which came into effect on 21st May. President Abdel Fattah also expressed the Egyptian government's readiness to assist Malaysia in channeling aid to Palestine.
Israeli aircraft struck Hamas site in Gaza on Thursday night after incendiary balloons were launched from the Palestinian enclave. For the second time this week since a fragile ceasefire ended 11 days of deadly fighting last month.
The violence possessed an early test for the government of Israel's new Prime Minister Naftali Bennett. An Egyptian-mediated truce that halted fighting between the Zionist regime and Hamas did not immediately appear to be threatened by the flare-up, with the overnight Israeli airstrikes giving way to calm by morning. There were no reports of casualties on either side. The overnight violence on Wednesday and Thursday follows a march in East Jerusalem on Tuesday by far-right Israeli groups.
Spanish Coast Guards restarted their search for 5 missing migrants after a dinghy carrying around 46 people capsized off the coast of Orzola in Lanzarote, resulting in the death of at least 3 of its passengers. The search and rescue effort led by the Spain Civil Guard Police and the Red Cross included a helicopter.
Authorities reported 2 women and a man dead and said 38 migrants from sub-Saharan Africa had been rescued, including at least 1 pregnant woman and several minors. Residents of Orzola reported the emergency at around 10 p.m. on Thursday evening after hearing people scream in the ocean. Some locals used their own body boats to jump into the water and rescue migrants. The number of undocumented migrants arriving in the Canary Island has increased 116% compared to the same period in 2020, with the impact of COVID-19 on tourism and other industries in North and Sub-Saharan Africa pushing many more to embark on the perilous journey. Spain's Interior Ministry reported 5,734 migrants had arrived in the Canary Islands up to 15 June, compared to 2,648 in 2020.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said the country should prepare for both dialogue and confrontation with the United States, particularly confrontation in his first direct comment on the administration of U.S. President Joe Biden.
State-run media KRT reported that Kim gave a detailed analysis of the Biden administration's North Korea policy at a plenary meeting of the ruling Workers' Party's Central Committee and laid out, quote, appropriate strategic and tactical counteraction to deal with Washington. The report added that the General Secretary stressed the need to get prepared for both dialogue and confrontation, especially to get fully prepared for confrontation in order to protect the dignity of the North Korean state and its interests for independent development. Kim also emphasized the need to create a favorable external climate for the North's own initiatives, as such moves would reliably guarantee the peaceful environment and the security of the state.
And in sports, Brazil scored 4-0 against Peru as Neymar nearing Pele's goal record. Stay with us. In Copa America race, Brazil scored early in their tie with Peru before adding 3 more in a comfortable second half to round out 4-0 winners. Now the result means Brazil, reigning champions, are the first team in the tournament to win their first 2 games and immediately go to the top of Group B, 2 points ahead of Colombia, who drew 0-0 with Venezuela.
Brazil took the lead in the 12 minutes when Alexandro slammed home a Gabriel Jesus cut back from 6 meters out. Neymar saw a penalty award taken away after a review by the video assistant referee, but midway through the second half, he angled a low shot past the despairing goalkeeper to double their lead. Substitute Everton Ribeiro made it 3-0 in the 89th minute when he scored from a Richarlison cross before Richarlison himself claimed the 4th in stoppage time. Neymar scored his 68th goal for Brazil and with it surpassed former Real Madrid and Internazionale striker Ronaldo as Brazil's second top goal scorer behind Pelé. He's now just 9 behind Pelé, who scored 77 goals in 92 games.
And understruck Venezuela managed just 1 shot at goal for the second game in a row, but shut out the superior Colombia. At the other end, had to grab a 0-0 draw.
The damage was telling for Venezuela in a game where they mustered just 1 shot at goal compared to Colombia's 17, requiring a dazzling performance from their goalkeeper, Iker Fariñas, to keep a clean sheet. Colombia, who beat Ecuador 1-0 in their openers, squandered a string of opportunities and too often mishit final balls into the box against an opponent that defended in numbers. Miguel Borja thought he had grabbed the winner for Colombia in the 90th minute, only to see his effort ruled out for offside, and then his side were reduced to 10 men when Luis Diaz was shown the red red for foul play. Venezuela have 1 point from 2 games but are not out of the tournament quite yet, as 4 of the 5 games in each group qualify for the knockout stages.
Scotland and England prepare ahead of their Euro 2020 Group D clash tomorrow morning. Now, underdog Scotland are under pressure to play a more offensive style after their opening loss against the Czech Republic, where they played well but were undone by 2 high-quality goals.
England are full of confidence after avenging their 2018 World Cup semi-final defeat by Croatia in their opening match. England's manager Gareth Southgate said central defender Harry Maguire will be included in the lineup. Maguire has not played since picking up an ankle injury on 9th of May for Manchester United. In his absence, Tyrone Mings partnered John Stones in central defence for Sunday's 1-0 opening win against Croatia. Maguire's return would boost England but could also be viewed as a risky decision given his lack of match time. A victory for England in the Group D clash would seal their place in the last 16 of the tournament with 1 game to spare. Meanwhile, Scotland defender Kieran Tierney will be back on the pitch for tomorrow's morning match. Scotland, playing in their first major tournament since the 1998 World Cup, are under pressure coming into the game against England, and no defeat could crush their hopes of making the last 16.
That concludes tonight's edition of News at 10. In our top story, SPM and STPM candidates to receive Pfizer vaccine beginning next month. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow for more updates at TV2 and my Freeviews channel 123 Saluran Berita RTM. You can also stream the news at RTM's Click mobile app or website. Till then, I'm Brendan Lipol. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM and have a good night.